Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome dear students in this module Emulsion Part 2, and I am Dr. Mona Semalti from HNB Garhwal University, Srinagar Garhwal. I welcome you all. So dear students, today we are going to study Emulsion Part 2, and let me remind you that we have studied introduction to emulsion, its advantages, disadvantages, different identification test and types of emulsions in emulsion part 1, and in this module we will discuss different emulsifying agents, its formulation and evaluation. So after going through from this module, what you are going to learn, let's see what you are going to learn. What is the formulation factors of emulsion, how emulsion is going to form, and we will also see the different problems in formulation of emulsions and what are the emulsifying agents, its classification and its description, as well as we will also discuss about evaluation of emulsions. So all these things you will learn after completion of this module. Other additives for emulsions, we need emulsifying agents, auxiliary emulsifier, antimicrobial preservatives and antioxidants. So this then forms the complete formulation of emulsion. Aqueous phase we need, oil phase we need, and associated properties of both are important, keeping in view of the API which we are going to use, and other additives, emulsifying agent, auxiliary emulsifier, antimicrobial preservatives and antioxidants. So formulation, we will start with the formulation of emulsions. So dear students, as you all know that formulation of emulsions, we have aqueous phase and a oil phase. Okay, so we have these two phases. So for aqueous phase decides the dose requirement and the consistency desired. Oil phase, okay, before selecting the oil phase we need to know the toxicity, the desired consistency is also important for and chemical compatibility. Okay, so generally for oil in water type of emulsion, the water percentage ranges from 31 to 45%, and for water in oil emulsions it is less than 25% of the total volume of water is used. Now stability, this is a major problem with emulsions, that emulsions has got the stability problems in terms of flocculations, in terms of creaming and sedimentation, phase inversion, and in terms of cracking and coalescence. So by any of this kind of reaction, the emulsion may not be stable formulation. So so we will see what flocculation is first. Flocculation is redispersible association of particles within emulsions to form the large aggregates. Okay, what happens? The particles in emulsions, they forms large aggregates precursor to the irreversible coalescence, and it differs from the coalescence mainly in that the interfacial films and the individual droplet may intact, okay, in flocculation. Second is creaming and sedimentation. What is creaming and sedimentation? As the dispersed droplets are subjected to the gravitational force, they tend to move upwards. So this is called creaming. And as the dispersed droplets are subjected to the gravitational force, if it tends to move downwards, it is called sedimentation. Okay, creaming is movement of droplets upwards and sedimentation is movements of droplets downwards. Creaming usually happens in oil in water emulsions and sedimentation usually happens in water in oil type of emulsion. Now the rate of sedimentation or the rate of creaming, we can say, is described by the Stokes law, where this you can see the Stokes law statement that where V is the velocity of sedimentation or creaming of dispersed phase of particle, R is the radius and density in liquid of density eta, and viscosity which is denoted by eta, and G is the acceleration due to gravity. Cracking and coalescence, this is a positive interfacial energy that is between two phases. So interfacial tension, when it is multiplied to the surface area, so to enhance the stability, the dispersed droplets comes closer to each other and fuse to attempt to decrease the exposed surface area. So this is cracking and coalescence. Now to know in detail about coalescence, fusion of two or more droplets of the dispersed phase form one droplet, coalescence. Okay, so as you can see in this figure that there is a droplet and an additional growth of droplet at the neck of one single droplet leads they coalescence. That means they merge, okay, and they form a one droplet. So coalescence is irreversible process and redispersion or shaking cannot be achieved by shaking. Okay, so it is irreversible. Shaking, if you shake the emulsion and think that the coalescence will be irreversible process, so it's not like that. It's completely irreversible. So smaller particles have slower creaming and sedimentation as compared to the larger particles. A stable emulsion requires a maximum number of small sized 1 to 3 micrometer globule size and as a few possible particle size greater less than 15 micrometer in diameter globules. Okay. The next is viscosity of continuous phase. Now viscosity, increasing the viscosity of continuous phase leads to reduction in creaming and coalescence. Okay, now viscosity can be enhanced by viscosity enhancing agents, right? And higher percentage of if we use oil phase, because oils have got the more viscosity. Okay, and small particle size in internal phase and higher amount of solid fats in the oil phase. By using emulsifying agents, by forming an interfacial film which serves as a mechanical barrier in decreasing the potential for coalescence. Surfactants may reduce the interfacial tension between two phases. Okay, and hydrocolloids to enhance the viscosity of the medium. Storage temperature, how monitoring the storage temperature is going to prevent the creaming and coalescence. See, the extreme temperatures can lead to the cracking of emulsion. When water freezes, again it leads to cracking. So increased temperature decreases the viscosity of the continuous phase and disrupt the integrity of the interfacial film, and increasing the number of collisions between droplets which also occur in leading to the increased creaming and sedimentation. Okay, now next problem in the stability of emulsion is phase inversion. Phase inversion, what is it? It is a process in which an emulsion changes from one type to another type. Say for example, oil in water, if it is, so it will convert into the water in oil type of emulsion. So substance which alter the solubility of an emulsifying agent may also cause phase inversion. So this process is irreversible. Next is Ostwald ripening. See, you can see in the figure that what Ostwald ripening is the process whereby larger droplets grow at the expense of smaller one because of the transport of dispersed phase molecule from smaller to larger droplets throughout the intervening continuous phase. So you understand, you can understand this way, that at the expense of small droplets there is a formation of larger droplets. This is called Ostwald ripening. Chemical stability because of oxidation of fats and oil. So addition of antioxidants and protection against external influences such as light, excessive heat, as well as suitable diffusion barrier on the surface between the different liquid phases improves the chemical stability. So that means the chemical stability we can improve by these measures. Okay, chemical stability may be due to the oxidation of fat and oil. So how to prevent the oxidation? By using antioxidants and by preventing it to be influenced by the external environment like light and excessive heat. So this way we can prevent the chemical destabilization of emulsions. Now, additive for formulation of emulsion. Additives, emulsifying agents, auxiliary emulsifiers, antimicrobial preservatives and antioxidants are used in the formulation. Now, an emulsifying agent, what it is? Emulsifying agent is any material that enhances the stability of emulsion, and it helps in the formation of an emulsion. So emulsifying agents are hydrocolloids, surface active agents, finely divided solids and auxiliary emulsifiers. Properties of an ideal emulsifying agent. Now, what properties must an emulsifying agent should have? It should be capable of reducing the interfacial tension, very first thing, and physically and chemically stable, inert and compatible. It should be, and completely should be non-irritant and non-toxic. Organoleptically inert, and should produce and maintain the required viscosity to the preparation. Okay, and should prevent the coalescence of the droplets of dispersed phase. Emulsifying agents, we can classify them as natural polysaccharides. Acacia tragacanth are the best emulsifying agents for extemporaneously prepared oral emulsion, as it forms a thick film at the oil and water interface to act as a barrier to coalescence. So other polysaccharides like starch, pectin and carrageenan can also be used. Semi-synthetic polysaccharides like methyl cellulose, cellulose derivatives, other cellulose derivatives like CMC, carboxymethyl cellulose, and HPMC, hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose, synthetic hydrocolloids, carbopol and PVA, PVP. So these are also emulsifying agents. Surfactants are type of emulsifying agents. See, surfactants we have seen in our previous modules. I have discussed the complete module on surfactants. Okay, So anionic, we also discussed there, anionic surfactants, alkali metal and ammonium soaps, salts of long chain fatty acids such as sodium stearate and potassium oleate, soaps of divalent and trivalent metals such as calcium oleate, okay, amine ammonium soaps such as triethanolamine oleate, alkyl sulfates such as SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate. Now, what is the disadvantage of using this type of emulsifying agents, incompatible irritant internally and so widely used in external preparation as or in water emulsifying agents, and pH sensitivity? Cationic surfactants. Cationic surfactants are usually quaternary ammonium compounds which have surface active cation. Example, you can take cetrimide benzalkonium chloride. Okay. Disadvantages of using cationic surfactants is they are sensitive to anionic surfactant and drugs. Emulsions formed by cationic surfactants are generally stable at acidic pH. So they are more toxic than other surfactants. Now moving to non-ionic surfactants. Non-ionic surfactants are compatible with both anionic as well as for cationic surfactants, and they are highly resistant to pH change. So the emulsion which is formed depends on the balance between lipophilic hydrophilic groups, which is given by lipophilic hydrophilic balance number, that is we call it as HLB number. You can take example glycol esters, glycerol esters, and amides. You can take example of alkanoamides and ethers, macro other, and polyoxamers. Finally divided solids. These finally divided solids acts as a emulsifying agents absorbed at the oil-water interface to form a coherent film that prevents the coalescence of the dispersed globules. So this is how it is going to help. So proper wetting by oil, then it will form water in oil emulsion, and proper wetting by water, it will form oil in water emulsion. Okay. So good stability, and they have good stability, and they are less prone to microbial contamination. Examples of finally divided solids: natural clays such as bentonite, aluminium, magnesium silicate, synthetic materials such as colloidal silicon dioxide or aerosil. Its brand name. Colloidal aluminium and magnesium hydroxides are used for internal preparations. Now the HLB, this is hydrophilic lipophilic balance system, and HLB number from 1 to 20. It represents the relative proportions of the lipophilic and hydrophilic parts of molecules. Right. So HLB number from 8 to 18 is hydrophilic molecules, and HLB number from 3 to 6 is for lipophilic molecules. Liquid paraffin has HLB value of 4 to obtain a water in oil emulsion, and 12 for oil in water emulsion. So here in this slide you can see the HLB values of different types of emulsifying agents. Now moving to next, auxiliary emulsifying agents. Now auxiliary emulsifying agents, sterol containing substances, these agents act as water in oil emulsifying agent. The example includes beeswax, wool fat, and wool alcohols. Now moving to next, which is antimicrobial preservatives. Antimicrobial preservatives sources of water, if it is not properly stored, what happens? The natural emulsifying agents, they in the presence of the more water and the environment, because of the environmental factor, there is a growth of microbes which produce unpleasant odor, color change, and the formation of gas. So it should be free from toxic effect, odor and taste and color. Some preservatives used are like benzoic acid and esters of para-hydroxybenzoic acids, chloroform and chlorocresol, phenoxyethanol, benzyl alcohol, quaternary ammonium compound and organic mercurials. Antioxidants occurs by free radical reaction, so it can be prevented by the absence of oxygens, a free radical chain breaker, and by using a reducing agent. So gallic acid, propyl gallate, ascorbic acid, sulfides, altocopherol, butyrated hydroxytoluene and butylated hydroxyanisole are examples for this. Next is sweetening agent. Sweetening agent, low molecular weight carbohydrates, in particular sucrose is which is used very widely. Sucrose, polyhydric alcohol such as sorbitol, mannitol and glycerin can also be used. Now last is the formulation additive, which is perfumes and flavors. The simple use of sweetening agent may not be sufficient to render a palatable product, so a suitable flavor and perfume can be added. Now, dear students, moving to the method of preparation of emulsions: trituration method, dry gum method, and wet gum method and bottle method. So these methods are popular. Now we will see dry gum method. Dry gum method, it is also called as 4:2:1 method. 4 parts volumes of oil, 2 parts of water and 1 part of gum is used in the preparation of primary emulsion. Okay, see you emulsion, oil, it is triturated and then it forms the primary emulsion, which is when upon dilution forms emulsion. Wet gum method. Wet gum method is emulsifier and water is mixed, triturated and then oil is added slowly, and again upon trituration primary emulsion is formed, and upon dilution of primary emulsion we can form emulsion. So this is wet gum method. Bottle method of formulation of emulsion. Emulsions of volatile oil or oleaginous substances of very low viscosities are prepared. Acacia is placed in a dry bottle and oil is added. The bottle is capped and thoroughly shaken. To this, the desired volume of water is added all at once and the mixture is shaken thoroughly until the primary emulsion is formed. So this way, by using bottle method, we can prepare emulsion. So dear students, now moving to the quality control test for emulsions. Determination of particle size and particle count and viscosity. See how we are going to determine the particle size. By using a microscopic method is used for this. Optical microscopy, sedimentation, and by using Anderson apparatus and Coulter counter apparatus, because emulsions had got very fine particle size. So it is done by microscopic methods. Determination of viscosity. This we have studied in our previous module also, that how to measure viscosity. So viscometers which should be used include one cone and plate, and there are different Ostwald viscometers, and you can use different types of viscometers to determine the viscosity, because viscosity has got a lot contribution in the stability of emulsions. Determination of phase separation. So this is very important parameter for emulsions. Like phase separation may be observed. It may be observed visually or by measuring the volume of separated phases. Because if emulsion will separate, it will separate in two phases. It will break down in two phases, oil phase and water phase. So by measuring these two phases, we can conclude that if there is phase separation or not, or visually also it is very easily you can visualize it. Determination of electrophoretic properties. So oil in water emulsion having a fine particle size will exhibit a low resistance, but if the particle size increases, then it indicates a sign of oil droplet aggregation and instability. So this way we can determine the electrophoretic properties of emulsion. Stability testing. Okay, stability testing at long term storage condition, accelerated storage condition, freezing and thawing by using freeze thaw cycles, and the stress conditions like centrifugal force, agitational force, aging and temperature. So by application of these stress condition for a specific period of time to the emulsion, we can determine the stability of emulsion. And the stability with these three parameters: stability on centrifugal force. This is because due to the because emulsion may face certain types of problems in transportation on exposure to the different environmental conditions, agitational force, and because of temperature and humidity, right? So stability testing is done for different parameters for a specific period of time by using the standards protocol. So these physical parameters are evaluated to assess the effect of the above stress conditions. As I told, phase separation, viscosity, electrophoretic property, particle size and particle count. Now gravitational stress. Gravitational centrifugation at 3750 rpm in a 10 centimeter radius centrifuge for a period of 5 hours is equivalent to the effect of gravity for 1 year. Thermal stress, aging and temperature, phase inversion of temperature, and phase inversion temperature, if it is more, the rate of coalescence will be less. Now dear students, after the evaluation parameters for emulsions, now we will see the packaging of emulsions. Emulsions for oral use are usually packed in well filled bottles having an airtight closure. Light sensitive products are packed in ambered color bottle as to protect them from the sunlight, and emulsions are generally packed in wide mouth bottles, and labeling, special label requirement is there for emulsions. Emulsion should mention that these products have to be shaken before use, and for external product it should be mentioned that for external use only. Okay, so this is packaging and labeling conditions for emulsion. Now last is storage of emulsion. Now storage, emulsions should be stored in a cool place. Refrigeration should be avoided, as the low temperature can adversely affect the stability of the preparation. So dear students, in this module we discussed many things. Now these are the references. Just go through from the references. You will learn much more things about emulsions. So dear students, let us summarize this module. We studied formulation of emulsion, stability problems of emulsion and different emulsifying agents, their classification, examples, all these things we studied, and we also discussed about evaluation of emulsion dosage form. So I hope you have enjoyed this module, and that's all for this module, and stay tuned for more videos, and thank you so much for watching this video. Happy learning.